Praise the Lord, and it's another Lord video, and this time it's Gilgamesh Battle Tower, and it's node 226, and we're about to kick it off right now. So here we're going into the first round against an earthworm and two tomato type thing, so this should be an interesting battle. So we're kicking it off with Chaos, which is a new Dark Supreme card, which is pretty good because it's got D barrier 2. So that gives increased damage over using just a standard D barrier, and more damage is good. What more can I say? It also gives a nice Hex Curse debuff. It also gives Curse, Debrave, gives full Dispel. It's a pretty decent card. And so I'm using Sephiroth's ultimate attack to debuff the enemies. Most importantly, getting slow and stun on all three of these enemies, like so. Then I'm just building up my action gauge to get to 2 actions, so I can switch to my attack, which I'm using Pugilist with Tifa skin, and it's a pretty standard Duncan spam attack build. And as you can see, it's pretty effective against this tomato type thing. It's going down pretty easy. Now the reason why I'm attacking the 2 tomato things instead of focusing on the sandworms is because I can't kill the sandworm in one turn, but I can kill both of these tomato things, and that makes it easier to switch back to my tank setup to tank the sandworm. Take more than one turn even with extra quicken actions to kill the sandworm, so focusing on the, I can't remember what they're called, I'll just call them tomato things, is the best strategy. Even with full debuffs on the sandworm, it still takes quite a bit of effort to break down its HP with even a Pugilist Duncan. That's why I'm switching back to my tank setup. I'll just tank for a while. Now the sandworm's not too bad. It's not too bad of an opponent, but it will do its Gigaworm attack, which will kill me in one hit, so I have to watch out for that. So I want to save using my wall for its Divine Shield for that attack. And just here what I'm doing is I'm using Substrike Duncan just to lower my action gauge, because I don't want to get to a full Mobius gauge just yet. So Sandworm's going to do its most powerful attack, so I've just used Wall, which will shield me from one attack. So pretty safe from Sandworm right now. So basically it's a free action attack by the Sandworm. There we go, Giga Storm, it's just used it, so I've defended that with Wall's Divine Shield, which is basically it for the Sandworm. That's all you have to watch out for. And I can reapply debuffs, because the debuffs are worn out, and switch to my Duncan attacker and then just spam attack, so it's a pretty easy strategy to start off.
It's time. Not yet. I'm just getting started.
What I'm doing now is just a pretty standard Season 2 strategy, just to manipulate my action gauge before I switch to my Duncan attacker. Now I'm spamming my actions, so I have 21 actions. And now I can just take down the Sandworm's HP. With all these actions I'll be building my Mobius gauge. And pretty much new feature of Season 2 is that you do have a Mobius gauge and the actions will build up. Once it builds up then you go in the Mobius zone, but you don't really want to go in the Mobius zone straight off the bat. You want to try and save it for the final boss fight, so you need to just keep using substrikes just to make sure that your Mobius gauge doesn't go too high, and that your Mobius gauge is in the perfect position when you go into the final fight.
Let me see you defeat me.
So Sandworm will get killed next turn by Bio, but as well just finish it off with Duncan, like so. Okay, so second round's just Gilgamesh, so you just get whichever buff you want from Gilgamesh. All the buffs, to be honest, are pretty terrible. The only decent one is just pretty much getting the one I've just chosen, which is Prismatic Shift. Don't really need anything else. So we're against a Judge Master and all his little tomato friends, so strategy here will be just use Chaos on everyone. Then ultimating to apply a stun, so for this first round everyone will be stunned. There we go, and then using my buffs. I've just used a sub-strike there, so I'm just trying to get to the sweet spot, which you'll see later on why I'm doing this. There we go. So basically I manipulate my Mobius gauge to about half of the total bar and about quarter of yellow bar. So basically after I've done with all my attacks I should be able to go into Mobius zone to get some extra actions, which you'll see at the end of this round, and at the moment I'm just focusing on killing these little tomato creatures. It'll make a Judge easier to tank. And I'm leaving the little dark tomato because on my tank setup I'm using Heretic Knight with full 70% dark resist, so I'll be able to tank dark attacks pretty easily, so that's why I'm focusing on killing the other elements but non-dark. Yeah, so these little tomatoes are quite annoying. They do take quite a few hits at these higher levels, but still pretty easy to take out. So I've only got 3 actions left, but I've hit Mobius zone, so I get more actions. So I'm able to kill off the water tomato, and I can get some nice hits off of the last remaining tomato. But I won't have enough actions to kill it, but I've weakened it quite a bit. I'll switch back to my tank setup, and Bio will kill the water tomato, so that's fine. Don't really need to worry about that. But my ultimate will kill it anyway. There we go, so I've moved on to second turn now, so I can use my ultimate when it's charged to debuff Judge Master. And as you can see, 70% dark resist, Judge Master's really not too difficult to tank.
How much can you take?
But I'll still have to make sure that I'm prioritising keeping my HP high. Just so I don't run into any difficulty against the Judge Master. So I just need to tank this turn. Just have to try and survive this turn and then move into the next turn. Or as you can probably guess what my strategy is going to be. It's a pretty standard Season 2 strategy. I'm gonna wait till the action bar's almost done and just spam my buffs so I can get extra actions.
taste.
And then switch to my pugilist to spam Duncan attacks, which I'll be doing very, very shortly.
Not yet. I'm just getting started.
So what I'm going to do next is kill the last little dark tomato off, so that I can activate my skilled duelist, which will increase my attack when I'm one-on-one with the enemy. So it'll make my attacks a little bit more powerful against Judge Master. And it's pretty, yeah, it's a pretty easy fight.
Sorry, but I won't go back.
As you can see, even at high level of 226, Judge Master goes down pretty easily against the Duncan spam. And that's it. No 226. Very easily done with a simple Duncan spam attack strategy. Okay, here we go. So this is node 227, the Battle Tower, which is a more interesting node to show because it was a hell of a lot harder. Just to record this video took me about 3 hours of failed attempts because the difficulty level did increase quite a bit on this node as you go along in the tower, as you can imagine. One thing that happens in battle towers as you go along and you progress and you get higher and higher is that previously easy nodes actually become pretty hard and can sometimes become the most difficult nodes. This was a difficult node as I was pretty much restricted to only using Monk and BFA, Braska's Final Aeon, because you're limited by the amount of elements that you can use. You can only use really wind. If you're using a mono element deck, you can only really use wind and earth on this node, so you're really limited to Yasmat or Braska's Final Aeon. Braska's Final Aeon's a better ability to use because it has a special effect that it ignores crit resistance. Crit resistance is pretty high compared to Season 1, so it's an important consideration. And yeah, so basically for this node you're using a Monk setup with Braska's Final Aeon, but unlike the Japanese Battle Tower last year, they had access to a better Earth attacker, which was DQ Monk, which did more damage than what we can do with Monk and BFA. So this was actually probably a more challenging node than the Japanese players experienced when they did this tower last year, which is an important consideration. So pretty much only was able to kill the Flans because I had almost perfect RNG. So my strategy was to use Chaos's debuff on all of them to apply D-Barrier 2 to all 3 of these fans, and to be able to kill off the water and fire flan fairly quickly so I can go back and tank the Dark Flan's attack, but I'll also need to drive Dark Orbs with my Monk because I don't have Dark Orbs on my tank. I'm using Orin, which doesn't have access to Dark Orbs. So there we go, so Water and Fire Flan go down, so I'm just left against the Dark Flan. It uses a Slime, which is pretty good, because that's basically doesn't take off Wall's Divine Shield, so I have basically a free turn. Well, if you get lucky and it does use Slime, it does mean that you can kill it without switching back to your tank deck, but pretty much most of the time you do have to drive Dark Orbs and tank Slime's attacks. Get pretty much perfect RNG on this. go, so I can just nuke it to death and I don't have to tank it, which is quite nice. But pretty much every other version I tried to record I had to tank it by driving Dark Orbs on my monk.
Time to get serious.
Let me see you defeat me.
Don't worry. Just leave it to me.
Where did you find this?
So it's quite a nice battle tower because effectively you get to skip the second round with Gilgamesh, just giving you buffs depending on the last action you hit it with. So pretty much on every node I just went for the same, which was Prismatic Shift. So that's a pretty simple strategy I'm using here. I'm just going to use Chaos to debuff both of the enemies with D-Barrier 2.
Your fear will be gone.
And I'm going to ultimate Tidus
You're careless fighting me, right?
and start BFA spam.
Where did you find the strength?
All right, let's go.
But as you can see here, I'm just trying to manipulate my Mobius gauge to the optimum for a BFA spam. Basically what I want to do is I want to, after I've exhausted all my actions, go straight into Mobius zone
To me.
and get some extra attacks and then switch back to my tank deck. So this node isn't hard, it's just at these higher levels it's just become completely dependent on RNG, so when I'm spamming my BFA attacks I'll want to make sure that I get prismatic return so that I can do an unbroken amount of spam attacks without having to tap attacks. Every time I tap attack that's a wasted action, and that's one less BFA attack I'm doing against Tidus. And what I want to do now is just take Tidus down to as little HP as I can take it. Hopefully I can take him down to about halfway, and then switch to my tank, and then tank both Tidus and Velfor. And then when my buff timer resets, just do exactly the same strategy again. So as you can see, I time my Mobius zone pretty well, so this I'll shortly be going into Mobius zone to get some extra attacks. There we go, so Mobius zone, so I get some extra attacks, and I'll just keep attacking until I get to one action, switch back to my tank, and then get one more BFA off. So as you can see, I'm not doing much damage, but with each individual cast, but it all adds up. So I'm switching back to my tank deck. I'm using Orin, and with Tidus and Velfor both debuffed, it's not so bad to tank. And I'm using Ragnarok as my weapon, so every attack I've got a higher chance of drawing life orbs, and also get prismatic, 20% prismatic draw. So strategy is just to stay alive until my buff cards cooldown is reset. And I have to take Tidus out pretty much next turn, because when his when his debuffs wear off, I'm not going to be able to tank both him and Velfor at the same time. Got quite low HP right now, but it's not so bad because I can use a Lord of Hope card to regain some health and regain war. Okay, so I just need to get through one of Titus's attacks, which is easily defended. Then I'll do exactly the same strategy I did before, so I'll buff with my cards that give me plus actions, and do the same again. So now I just have to get enough prismatic return so I don't have any wasted attacks, and I need to get as many casts of BFA off as I can to kill Titus. As you can see, it's pretty challenging because BFA individually they're not doing that much damage, but hopefully I can spam enough attacks to get it done. So I've just had to tap attack there, so that's a couple of extra wasted actions, which isn't good. At higher levels in Battle Towers you can't have any wasted actions. Tap attacks just basically can mean the difference between success and failure.
Breaking my limit.
So use my ultimate, and I'll replenish my orb gauge. So I won't be able to kill Titus off just by using BFA, but should be able to get it down enough so that Bio can finish it off.
Where did you find the strength?
Not yet. I'm just getting started.
Into the devil. Some darkness.
Yep, so Bio was just enough to finish off Titus. Now, if Bio wasn't enough to finish off Titus, then I wouldn't have been able to tank both Titus and Velfor both together in this round. Now their debuffs have worn off, because they would have done significantly more damage. So on this mode I was pushing the margins really on this node. I mean, if I went forward another lap and tried to fight these guys again, I mean, I would have, it's probably possible, but it would have been pushing the margins extremely, because it would be extremely difficult to have killed Titus. And like I said before, the Japanese players went through this. This is probably one of the easier nodes because they had access to a better Earth attacker. They had access to DQ Monk, so they didn't have the problems that I had on this node. So they should have been able to kill Titus pretty easily within 2 BFA spams. So now I'm just focusing on Velfor, and it's pretty easy. There is a countdown which you just saw that flashed up. If I don't kill Velfor by then, it'll activate its ultimate end attack, which is game over.
Not yet. I'm just getting started.
So I have to finish off Velfor pretty soon. And so I've got 20 attacks, so they should be able to get it done.
I'm gonna win.
I should be hitting my Mobius zone soon, so that's an extra 8 attacks. So that'll definitely be enough to kill Velfor, even though these individual attacks not doing much damage. Should have enough of them to get the job done. So this is it. This is another Season 2 tower. Another unbroken spam strategy to win the tower. I mean, hopefully in future towers you'll be able to win by using the break strategy, which is, in my opinion, a bit more fun than doing an unbroken spam, but like every battle tower, you can only do what the mechanics of a tower allow you to do. You can't do what you want to do. There we go, so the video's finishing up. That's No 227, which was the highest clear in global on the global server.
That was rather underwhelming.
And that's how it's done. So that's a pretty nice achievement. So that helped me win my 10th battle tower, not that I count. And so I've won battle towers across every calendar year now, from 2016, 2017, 2018, now 2019. And let's have a look at my rankings. So that's it really, video's finishing up. I'll just have a quick scroll through the rankings and that's it. So hope you enjoyed the video, hope you enjoyed a good look at the Season 2 mechanics and what battle towers are like at the highest levels, and this is the Lord signing off.